The most famous military UFO case begins with a radar track the pilots could not see. Then, a white object over calm blue water. 4 aviators saw it. Ship sensors reportedly tracked it. A later jet recorded it. And the official label still stopped at one word: unidentified. On November 14, 2004, Navy pilots from USS Nimitz were training off Southern California when USS Princeton changed the mission. They were not sent to chase a rumor. They were sent toward a contact. And what followed became the Nimitz Tic Tac. This is no aliens, following the evidence instead of the legend. The question is not whether this story is exciting. It is. The harder question is what the evidence actually proves, what it only suggests, and what remains hidden from public view. The easy story says the Pentagon confirmed alien technology. I understand why people say it. In April 2020, the Department of Defense officially released 3 historical Navy videos, including the one known as FLIR 1. The department said the videos were real Navy imagery. It also said the aerial phenomena in the videos remained unidentified. That is a powerful sentence. For decades, UFO witnesses were told they had seen stars, aircraft, balloons, birds, drones, or tricks of perception. Now, the public had official military video, military pilots, and an object with no public identification. So the leap feels natural. If the Navy filmed it and the Pentagon did not name it, maybe the secret was obvious. But that is where the first misconception begins. Unidentified does not mean extraterrestrial. It means the available public explanation is incomplete, and in the Nimitz case, that incompleteness is not boring. It is the heart of the mystery. The case refuses to behave like a simple video mystery. If FLIR 1 were all we had, the debate would be narrower. Analysts could argue about range, angle, camera motion, apparent rotation, and what the targeting pod was doing. They still do. But Commander David Fravor's sworn statement to Congress in 2023 added a more difficult layer. Fravor said USS Princeton had been tracking unusual objects for roughly 2 weeks before the intercept. According to that statement, the contacts appeared above 80,000 feet, descended to around 20,000 feet, and lingered for hours. Other public accounts from the strike group have described operators checking and recalibrating systems because the tracks looked so unusual. That matters because a radar crew's first question is usually not aliens. It is whether the machine is lying. If those checks happened as described, the Princeton story becomes harder to reduce to one bad blip. A one-time visual sighting can be mistaken. A one-time infrared clip can mislead, but repeated shipboard tracks, a controlled intercept, 4 aviators, and a later video are harder to wave away in one motion. That does not prove aliens. It does prove the easy dismissal is too small. So the real question becomes sharper. What did those pilots encounter? And why have the most decisive records not been released? Start with what is solid. On November 14, 2004, Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich were flying FA-18Fs from USS Nimitz. They were part of a training exercise, not a public UFO hunt. The strike group was preparing for deployment, so the airspace was already dense with procedures, call signs, and controlled training areas. USS Princeton, equipped with the Aegis combat system and Spy-1 radar, controlled the intercept. That system was built to watch the sky for threats at long range. Aegis does not just draw pretty dots on a screen. It is designed to fuse contacts, assign tracks, and help a ship defend itself against fast aircraft and missiles. That makes the Princeton claims especially important. They are not the same as a single witness pointing at a light. Public accounts have also named Senior Chief Kevin Day as one of the Princeton radar operators who described the contacts. That does not make every detail automatically proven, but it gives the radar story a human source, a job role, and a place inside the ship's command system. It was not a hobbyist camera pointed at clouds. The ship directed the aircraft toward a contact. When the pilots arrived, they saw something unexpected below them. There was a disturbance on the ocean surface, like white water over something just beneath it. Above that disturbance was a small white object. Fravor later described it as shaped like a tic tac. No wings, no visible rotors, no obvious exhaust plume, no markings that would make it easy to classify as a friendly aircraft. 4 aviators in 2 aircraft watched it for roughly 5 minutes. That detail matters. Military pilots are not infallible, but they are trained to judge aircraft, movement, altitude, and threat. Dietrich has publicly described the encounter with caution, emphasizing that the event was real to the crews, but not automatically explained by one preferred theory. That kind of restraint makes the testimony more interesting, not less. Fravor said he descended toward the object. As he moved closer, the object appeared to mirror his movement, then rapidly departed. This is the first mini reveal. The famous FLIR 1 footage is not the moment Fravor first saw the Tic Tac. That distinction changes how the evidence should be read. A viewer can stare at FLIR 1 for hours and still miss the most important witness event. A later crew from VFA 41 recorded the roughly 90-second infrared video after the initial intercept. The pilot often associated with that later recording is Chad Underwood, who publicly said he gave the object the Tic Tac nickname. Underwood's account matters because it separates the close visual encounter from the later sensor capture. That means the public video is not the whole encounter. It is one surviving window. The second mini reveal is even stranger. Fravor has said the object later appeared at the Combat Air Patrol Point, about 60 miles away, in less than a minute. A Combat Air Patrol Point is not random sky. It is a planned position used by the pilots during the exercise. If an unknown object appeared there, the detail feels almost personal. It would suggest either extraordinary coincidence, extraordinary tracking, or a record we still cannot inspect. If accurate, the relocation would imply extraordinary movement. But the public cannot inspect the raw Princeton radar tape, so the claim sits in a difficult category. It is not just internet folklore, because it comes from named military witnesses and official testimony. But it is not fully verifiable by the public, because the underlying sensor record remains unavailable. The third mini reveal comes from what the government later said about UAP cases in general. The 2021 ODNI preliminary assessment said some UAP reports involved multiple sensors. It also described the reporting problem in unusually plain terms. Many cases lacked enough information for firm conclusions, but a small number appeared to show unusual flight characteristics. That does not identify the Nimitz object as alien, but it shows why military UAP cases are not always simple stories of confused witnesses. Modern warships and fighter aircraft create overlapping records. A radar track can show position. A targeting pod can show infrared contrast and line of sight. A pilot can report shape, behavior, and context. Radio traffic can show what controllers and crews believed in the moment. Even mundane explanations need those layers. A balloon explanation needs wind data and drift. A drone explanation needs endurance, launch point, control link, and recovery path. A sensor artifact explanation needs the error to appear in the right system at the right time. And an exotic technology explanation needs evidence strong enough to survive every ordinary test first. When those records agree, the mystery becomes harder. When those records disagree, the mystery can sometimes be solved. But when decisive records are missing from public review, the mystery becomes sharper. That is why the FLIR 1 debate has never been enough. The video shows an object in infrared. It does not show reliable distance. Without distance, size is uncertain. Without size and range, speed can be misread. And without the full sensor chain, the most dramatic performance claims remain reported rather than publicly testable. Then comes the complication. The Pentagon's later Aero historical review reported no verified evidence that UAP sightings represented extraterrestrial technology. That is an important boundary. The strongest responsible version of the Nimitz case does not ignore it.
It also does not pretend that official caution erases the encounter. Instead, it asks why this case still resists closure after testimony, official video, and reported sensor tracks. So here is the turn. The Nimitz Tic Tac is not powerful because one video proves impossible acceleration. It is powerful because the video is only the least secret part of the case. The real mystery is the gap between what officials have confirmed and what the public can actually inspect. We have confirmed Navy video. We have named aviators describing a close visual encounter. We have Fravor's sworn claim that USS Princeton tracked objects behaving in ways ordinary aircraft do not. We have public reporting that places the event inside a carrier strike group, not isolated over empty sky. And we have no public radar tape that lets independent analysts test the most extraordinary parts. That is the revelation. The strongest Nimitz evidence is not the clip everyone has seen. It is the missing chain around the clip. Suddenly, the contradictions make sense. The Pentagon did not confirm aliens, but it did confirm real Navy imagery of an unidentified phenomenon. The FLIR video alone does not prove the most extreme flight claims, but the wider encounter gives the video weight it would not have by itself. This is why the case remains open in the public mind. Not because every question points to one answer, because the best answer still has missing pages. The Nimitz Tic Tac reminds us that mystery can survive contact with evidence. Sometimes evidence does not close a case. Sometimes it makes the unknown more precise. That is why this encounter matters. It sits between belief and dismissal, in the uncomfortable place where serious records still do not give us the final record. And if one encounter had this much data, the deeper question is what stayed inside the vault. But the Tic Tac also leaves a harder question. How many cases look ordinary only because the sensor chain was never made public? I'm here to help you know what the records can still reveal. What matters more in the Nimitz case? The 4 trained eyewitnesses, the USS Princeton radar claims, or the FLIR video? See you in the next case file.